So you only live once, so use it wisely. Life lesson. Compositions. All right, what's a composition? Besides like a musical thing. Composition notebook. True. Putting stuff together. How are we putting it together? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division? No. Those are called what from yesterday? Go back and look.
Putting things together
Arithmetic.
in harmony.
And look at the title. Combinations. Arithmetic combinations are the add, subtract, multiply, divide. Composition. If I say fog, what do you think of? Smog. Fog. Nobody?
When you're in the car.
Mathematically. I know, and it's foggy outside, but mathematically. What's fog?
Function of
Yeah.
Preaching.
I guess all is from him, but that's a little weird. Come back.
It's Friday.
F. No. If it was F with a little dot, maybe, but we do F next to G to not have to get confused with it. This is a hollow multiplication sign. It doesn't mean times. It's F of G of X. Oh, come on. You see it? Yes, you have. You just don't like it.
Yes,
Oh. Now wait, does this mean F times? No. 4K. What's inside?
G of X.
And what's normally there? Just X. So who's taking X's spot? Oh, that's it. We're done. Go home. Just kidding. You still have 1 9.
Oh, I was in.
But-
G of H of X.
But if I was to give you an example, if I was to say, let f of x equal, snazzy way of just saying, hey, make f of x this. Let f of x equal 4 minus x, and g of x equal x plus 1. Now to give you the direction, find fog. What would you do? Ready, set, go. Yeah. And simplify it. And don't kill a seal. Don't kill a seal in the process. You set it up so that many of you might.
I see the trick.
Where did you get that? Oh, really?
On Pinterest or something, some teacher had done the cat and dog one. And I didn't like what their cat and dog one was, but I loved the idea. So then I stole it and I wrote my own mistake, and then I made the seal, the baby turtle, and then the bunny.
Oh.
And one year I think we had some other ones, like baby penguin. But I never made signs, and I don't remember what they were. You guys will never kill a bunny because that's a calculus thing. But the other ones, all the time. So sad. If I know you're killing something, maybe you won't do it. You're like, oh, don't.
Misty.
Alright, what'd you guys do? Rewrite it. F of G of X, right? And think this goes in here, right? So hence, there. Wait. If I said F of 2, wait, we got it. If I said F of 2, where would 2 go? Here, in there, right?
Yes.
If I said F of 1, 1 would go there, 1 would go there. If I said F of X plus 1, X plus 1 would go there, X plus 1 would go there. Oh, that is what I'm saying. I'm just saying G first. So, 4 minus who?
X plus 1.
G, which is X plus 1. Wait, ponder. Ponder, right? 4 minus who? 4 minus the argument, which is in here, right? So what did this change to be? The x came out of the game, the g of x came into the game, but you have to put him in the right position, right? He has to be in his position, so therefore, oh, there you go, put him in the right place. So I take g of x, I put him in the right position, there we go. Now I'm not done until I simplify. And by simplifying, I should hopefully distribute the negatives. I'm going to have 4 minus x minus 1. My ones I did 4 plus 1. Seal dead. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 minus x is my final answer. What's wrong?
I don't get why you didn't plug in the g of x to the other side, the 4 minus x plus 1. Because you plugged into that x.
Right. Oh, and then this is just who it is. So say you were talking about like, hey, I need to plug in the backup of this position, right? Like, okay, he's going to go into the game. Oh, but who is he? Oh, there we go. So I'm just going one step more. I'm substituting who g of x actually is. So I'm going one step further. Does that make sense?
And notice that if it's f of x, the x in parentheses becomes g of x. It's not like f of x, it's f of g of x.
So you just replace. So g went in. And I think that makes sense, right, Kristen? This is here.
Yeah.
It's just like this next step, but I'm going one step further and saying, who is he? Oh! Plug it in, plug it in. And then simplify. So let's do another one. Hold on. There's this whole domainy thing. Do you guys already write him? No? Alright. We'll do an example below him. So what if I was to say something else? Like, and I think there might be more examples on the other page. Maybe one more. Move him down so he's not in the way. Oh, I do have one. What do we think? Can we try it?
Yes.
Let's just go here. Let me go ahead and shorten this up because I don't need all the space. I have examples on the next page. Okay, wait. Don't get overwhelmed. Do one thing at a time. Start with f of g of x with a new f and a new g. Start with a. Check answers in your group for a. Then everyone go to b. Check answers in your group for b. Then go to c. Okay? Build it one at a time. But I would always start with, how do you rewrite fog? That's confusing. What's the O mean? Of. So rewrite it. When it says fog, it means f of g of x. Ready, set, go. And take the initiative. Be bold enough to stop after A and check on your group. Or check in with your group and say, oh, and that's totally fine too.
Where?
Talk it out. If your group hasn't checked A yet, check A because it's taking too long. If your group hasn't checked A yet, stop, and check A. However far everyone got.
You just take the original g of x. So you guys get g of x. He's the player. Who is the player? Where is You see it's x. This is it.
Yes.
You only have those two. Let's think like this.
How we do on A? Good?
No, I lost it.
Does it make sense?
Okay, so you have g of x. What's g of x? 4 minus x squared. this and the x equals to
Always think whatever's inside.
okay. So now it's f of x. Only the x is not x plus 2 because it is of the x plus 2. And you're going to apply g of x into the x.
Backwards.
Uh-huh.
It's still
So
f
now you're going to have
of g. No.
4 minus x
It's
squared.
gonna be the opposite.
And the remaining.
I wouldn't say the opposite, but
Like flip.
the other.
Okay. Wait, I need one second. So this is the input.
Any questions, any groups or individuals who are stuck on A? I would love to be able to explain it a little bit better.
I know it's a little tricky.
Yeah. I don't know why it's so easy. It's okay.
You have an F right here, right?
Yeah.
The problem is F
And do you think that negative x squared negative minus 4x?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Which is 4 minus g.
And then you
No,
minus
4x.
Okay, so
Plus 4.
because this is now x, this x becomes g of x.
B is a different direction, but the exact same step. It's on the inside,
Yeah.
plug him into the X of the outside.
the order? No, you can't change the order. That's how it is.
Negative goes to squared.
That's actually how it is.
4x.
G is on the outside now, and X is on the inside. You see it? Give her a second.
Okay,
Hang on. Okay, so that's x. So what?
let me know, seriously. From the beginning,
Being all things. What's that?
Okay, f of x is x plus 2, right? So you're taking
Are
this.
you talking about the first one?
No, it'd be.
He's telling you who this is.
Yeah.
But my
This
question
x
is, where is
Where's f of x?
where's he going?
So this is x squared plus 4x.
Of x.
F is going into who? Wait, F? F is going into who's on the outside. So instead of X, G is F of
What we're
X.
saying is g of the function of negative.
But the tricky thing about this one, it's gonna be x plus 2 parentheses squared because you see now we're doing negative 2.
Is
X plus
negative
2.
2.
Negative 2 plus 2.
Because we define,
That x and then so 1 minus.
this is what the notation means. Like yesterday we did F plus G X, it meant F of X plus G of X. This means
So the function of x
F
is
of,
So 4 minus.
So
and so then this
since
little
we're
O
inserting the
means
function
G
of
of
x
F
it's
of
going to be like the
No.
original. But instead of having
f
x,
of x
we're solving for the function of negative 2. So we're going to put negative 2.
no, f of x
I can't look up.
is given.
So it's 4
X plus 2, so right, x plus 2.
negative 2 plus 2.
Right? You see f of x, okay, right?
So
okay, got
solve that now.
See?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
You do that.
Well,
did I right?
yeah, well, yeah, because we're solving with a 2.
Oh,
Or
okay.
minus x squared. This whole thing
Is g of x so that.
is only g of x. So how are you gonna plug the x plus 2?
Ooh,
Oh.
4. It's a little bit harder than that.
Don't come back to that. You don't
You mean you're simplifying?
You already know that you
So, I did this.
Or
Plug this in here.
you're gonna go g of x. How do you plug the x plus 2?
No.
Yes, we have.
No, you're gonna plug in.
Oh, for
something
B.
that
We're not.
Oh, yeah.
You're good.
Only in there.
No, you're good. I was like, wait.
So the
Minus
x
x minus 4x.
plus
2
2
squared.
squared
So the f of x is squared
Is this the negative here?
plus 4.
Plus 4. Now you solve it.
Right? Because F went in, so he's squared. Who he is squared.
Okay.
Right?
Do you remember last year? We were squared plus 4x plus 4.
Yeah.
Alright, any questions on B, individually or as group?
Plus 2.
We get it answered?
X squared plus 4.
Why is x plus 2 squared x squared plus 4x plus 4? We have to FOIL it, right? Don't kill a puppy.
Yeah, no, just that one.
Yeah, you do that. No, you don't have to foil it.
I mean, foil it.
Then you're gonna get it.
Oh.
We're in the fro zone.
You just put it inside the parentheses. And then you're gonna go
Yes.
I hope I can see.
And then fair.
Now you're gonna foil it and then you're gonna.
Yes.
Wait, you have a negative 4 and a plus 4. You can put it in half. Look what you got, look what you got. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Wait, are we getting our quest back?
Don't worry, we have until 37. It's coming. So then letter C takes it one step further and says g of who? F of, oh, we just did that, didn't we? But instead of f of x, who is it now? F of negative 2. So then we can plug in f of x, but who's in the spot of f of x is x? Like a composition in a composition. Or, some of you were like, wait a minute, we just figured out g of f of x. Can't we just plug in negative 2? That would also work as well. Because if you had just plugged it in, you would have gotten. Because if you saw g of f of who? G of f of x, g of x of g of f of negative 2, you could have also just plugged in. You could have just cheated and plugged it into him. Then you would have gotten negative 4 plus 8. That would always work. As long as you've gotten the correct equation, you don't plug it into the wrong one.
Does that happen a lot or not really?
Every now and then. It's like a more complicated problem because you're actually plugging in an x.
No, only into the x. The negative 2 is only the
Just in
x.
that spot. And then the plus 2 came from, well, he was already there. Cool. Alright, so compositions, are they a little trickier than plus and minus and divide and times? Yes, but we have to remember, whenever we see the little O's, what do they mean? Of, and whatever is next is getting plugged into the outside, right? And where is it getting plugged into? The x spot, true? Just like function notation before, just a little bit harder. And these are called what again? Compositions. Compositions. Now, there's one more slide. Compositions is a composition has, I'm trying to just change it around. A composition has you plugging in to a more basic function, and it kind of gets more complicated. However, the same way that we can plug in and compose functions, we can also pull out and decompose functions. Oh, that's exciting. Decomposing things. Guys should be excited. Maybe some girls. Decomposing. We're breaking it down. We're breaking it apart. How can we remember decompositions? What's it mean to decompose? A decomposing body, what's it do? It's breaking down into its elemental parts, right? So a decomposed function, we're pulling it apart to see what the pieces were. Yeah.
I think we skipped the main.
Oh, we just, sorry, it was there. We just didn't write anything about it. For the domain, you have to not only, when it's a composition, you have to not only look at F, but also look at G. I just did a quick note.
Okay.
Because since they're both inside each other, you have to look at one and the other. Yeah. Okay, let's go to decomposing. Decomposing, how to take a function that has been composed, all this stuff has been plugged into it, and how to pull it apart and figure out who were each of the pieces before they got all plugged in. And the reason I say look at the functions inside out is the very first place we want to look is the innermost function. What is, can I just keep innermost? What is in the innermost part of the function? This is kind of a hard idea. It is a great practice of how to look at these functions and say, huh, it's a composition of this inside of this inside of that. Which is good for calculus. For something really hard called a chain rule that people mess up and they kill bunnies. Anyway, coming back to killing bunnies. We start inside out. Who is inside the most? Think of like a little Matryoshka doll. Who's in the innermost? H of X, right? It's kind of a learned skill. But look at the function over here, and who seems to be inside the most? X plus 1. So if you're like, I don't see it, hold on. Who's the most inside? H of X. And you have this big square rooty thing, then you have this something squared minus 2y thing, and then you have in the innermost X plus 1. So start there and say, hey, I found H of X. He was the one that was in the innermost part of the function. He was stuck in parentheses, in a squared, and under a square root. He was stuck more than anybody else. I'll get a little bit more exciting. Who was H plugged into?
X squared minus 2.
G. Who was he plugged into? G. And G, if you take away the H and make it just his X, the X plus 1 came from the H. G wouldn't have had X plus 1 yet. He would have just had a normal X. And then you ask yourself the question, who are they all inside? What's on the outside? Just a square root. The rest is already dealt with. So F
Anything to do with being a parent function and a bunch of like transformations inside?
kind of. Kind of. But you kind of have two different parent functions with the square root and the squared.
That's true.
So I don't want to really describe it that way. But that does have some bearing on it, yeah. Okay, now take a second. If you were to have that F and have that G and have that H, either try to do it or some of you just think about it. Does it, when you take the composition of them all, F of G of H, and how would that look like in notation? What would be written? How many little circles would there be? Because it'd be F of G, but G is of H. Would it match up with what we had at the beginning? Remember, ugh, that's a disgusting way of looking at it. H would go inside of G. All of that would go under a square root. H would go inside of G. All of that would go under a square root. Boom. See it? Okay. So decomposing, what are we doing? Taking something that's already been done and breaking it down. Yeah? Okay, want to try one more?
Yeah.
The directions are decompose the function or find a composition. Find a decomposition of this function. Our problem is, can I just still use f of g of, is that okay? F of g of h equals let's see if we can do this. I'm going to go crazy on you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, come on.
Misty.
She goes.
You know that's not sin, right? What is that? Sine. I know, a cute little ninth grader came in. He did the calculus homework and was like, I know all of it, but the sin part. Never mind. You'll learn. You'll learn. It's not sin. Who is it? Sine. Go. Work it out in your group. You can try on your own. Break it down. There are 3 parts.
And then it's inside of
Okay. This is one of the few things I've actually thought on.
Anything else plus 2 to g is what?
It's like
Is
a
that anything?
X is sine.
It's like what, dude?
You always got another shot. So it's like
What was that?
That was a Broncos big fucking
You put her back as Travis, dude.
quarterback's trying to see how nice he is.
How nice he is.
Are we done? Have you tested your groups? Are we sure?
We got it.
What was the color?
2
interceptions. It was
Is it blue?
Throw a bubble screen.
You see his roll-ups though? That's the first time quarterback. 7th round. He hasn't worked out that state, but he's playing in the NFL. Starting against against the most elite defense in the game.
I'll show you what I think it is.
Alright, who is the innermost? Who's H?
3x plus 2.
Nice.
3x plus 2?
Yeah.
There are other ways of doing it, but since I said there had to be 3, the innermost would be 3x plus 2. Now, some of you were like, what about the x? He's kind of just normal, right? There's nothing inside of x. He's just there. So look, h of x is just the whole thing. There's nothing inside of h except for x. Huh, that makes sense to me. Okay, now, who's next? So would you guys name g of x? Okay. And who's next? F of x. Who is? Sin x. And technically sin x does have little parentheses, or without parentheses it's kind of understood. Either way. We get it? I think it's kind of fun. It's like a puzzle that's all mixed up and you're trying to take it apart. Like those rings that are all interlocked and you're trying to get them apart. I think this is easier though. Okay. Oh no. Oh my goodness, we're done! And we still have more than 10 minutes.
So let's
Sweet!
see this
So we're gonna
quiz.
start as I pass out your quiz. Remember, we have to start section 1.9 because Monday we're supposed to finish 1.9 and go to 1.10.
Choice.
Take one, pass straight back.
You know, dishonors. RBs becomes
Oh my god.
and they.
Oh wait, take straight back. Pass
Oh,
straight back.
Misty.
Yeah.
She's not sitting here, but
Oh, but she's coming back.
yeah.
Let me see. Say right here.
What? Mr. Crawford. Yeah. It's like
This is the time that you guys annoy the living crap out of me.
I don't want to deal with that in general.
Trevor is one of the most important defenses in the NFL.
And he almost got picked in the end zone. One yard line. Got picked twice. He was throwing
His first
screens.
pick was Thomas Davis Sr.
He threw 5 screens in the game against 5 of the completions. It doesn't matter. He didn't throw a fade. They don't trust him with seams and fades and posts.
Okay, it's
That's what I'm saying. He's not good enough.
Yeah. But it's like
We're not gonna start passing away.
Yeah, because he can develop the guy.
functions, how there's
But
like
still,
polynomials.
Trevor
Trevor's
Simeon is
7th-round pick.
he's better.
He's starting.
Okay, hold on real quick.
One of the best teams.
Let's talk through
How is that
corrections. Now, for the graphing calculator quiz, did we do something snazzy and formal like this?
No.
No, but for every other test, we're going to be using this. And you're like, the quest was a quest. I know, but it was basically a half test. Anyway, let's go in here. Okay. Now, what are the different categories on this paper?
Misconcept, explanation.
Okay, so let's try to make sure that we all understand these categories. Missed concept. That should be like less than 5 words. Fewer than 5 words. Why? You're saying something like zeros, symmetry, intercepts, circles. Does that make sense? What's the big idea of the problem that you got wrong? So you're looking at it, trying to either look at the directions, looking at the problem that you've been given to you, graphs of equations, slope, difference quotient, average rate of change. That's about the longest one you should have. Does that make sense? Misconcept, the big idea. Problem number, literally, what number is it that you got wrong? And you should probably go in order, okay? Go in order of the ones you got wrong, for my sake and the TA's and your sake, so that you don't forget something, because if you don't correct any problem you missed points on, you get -1 out of 10. You don't want to miss any, so correct them all. Cool? And so if you're like, what if I miss 20? Yeah, it's like a 0, so don't do that. Like if you miss 20 and don't do it, or you do like 10, that's not enough. You have to correct all of them. Corrected work. What does that mean? Figure out how to do it right. Okay? Whether that means, oh, I made a little mistake and I'm going to fix it and show that fix, show that correction. Or whether it means I had no clue so I didn't have any work. Okay, figure out how to do the problem. Does that make sense? Show me a graph, show me plugging in, show me solving. Explanation of correction or explanation of error. Why do I put that? Either you're telling me how to fix it, or you're telling me what you didn't get right. Or you're doing both. So for instance, if it was something as silly as there was like a negative and you didn't distribute, you could literally say kill the seal. And I'm like, oh, totally get it. As long as you get it, we're good. Or it could be something like, I performed the symmetry test wrong, right? Maybe you interpreted it wrong. Or now, if you are writing on every single one, I didn't know. Wait, you had a test. You studied for it. We took notes on it, did homework on it. Don't just tell me I didn't know. Tell me where there was a disconnect. Tell me something like, I forgot the standard form of a circle. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, so give me detail. Don't just say like, big question mark, I didn't know, I forgot. I get really tired of those. Give me some detail. Sound good? Okay, and if you're like, but my paper was blank on that problem, how can I explain my paper was blank? Okay, then don't tell me what you got wrong. You obviously didn't get the idea of the problem. Tell me how to correct it. Oh, I plug into this, and then I solve, and then I'm okay. All right? Does that kind of make sense? Very cool. We still have about 9 minutes. And if I give this to you, what's going to happen to your brains? Are they still going to be in notes? Or are they going to be in the quest? Okay. So we're going to wait just a little bit longer. I know.
No, it's gonna be the notes.
But hold on. No, it's not. When you finish, you turn this in on Monday. You're going to try and do your best by Monday. Technically, I'll probably still give you to Tuesday because then you can collaborate with maybe people in your group when you first get in here on Monday. Ask them some questions. You're going to staple always the corrections on top of your test to turn it in. So when you guys get in on Monday, if you have them all done, ready to go, you can go ahead and staple. And if you're like, wait, what if I need more? I always have a pile of corrections. I actually just got 200 more done. You can just come in, grab an extra paper, okay? Because every class does it. You're going to staple on top. Good? Okay. And last but not least, Mr. Che and I talked, and regular pre-cal is going to need some points back from their corrections. And I don't want you guys to get punished because you're in honors. So I'm going to go ahead and, depending on how you did, you can get up to half points back if you are able to perfectly show me what went wrong and how to do it right. Does that sound good? Okay. It's the first one. You guys are getting used to me. I'm getting used to you, so we'll do that. All right. So they're well worth your while because some of you are like, ace your test. It's going to keep on being like this. And some of you are like, I'm still getting used to it, and that's okay. We'll get you some points back. Sound good? Notes. 1.9, inverse function. 1.9, inverse functions. Ruh-roh. There's like a really important note on this page. And it says, whenever you see this, it does not mean what? Why am I making that note? What are we used to doing when we see powers that are negative? You flip it. Now, let me show you what the reciprocal would look like. If we were to do the reciprocal of f of x, which basically, to be honest, is never done because of this notation. We don't want to confuse you. But if you were to need to find the reciprocal of f of x, it would be f of x to the negative 1. And that would equal 1 over f of x. And some of you just forgot what negative exponents do, so you're like, oh, I wouldn't have made that mistake anyway. Okay, good. But once you learn what they do, still don't make it. Whenever you have a negative 1 power, this one says all of f flipped to the negative 1 power. So that'd be 1 over f of x. This notation, I put it in a big word on the left. This notation does not mean reciprocal. Long story short, this is not a power. But it's in the superscript space. Yeah, I know, but it's not a power. Too bad. Okay? It's not a power. What does it mean? I told you literally. How do I want you to read this? F of, well, true, but what's before? F inverse. F inverse of. Let's keep going. I'm gonna have you guys keep writing. Yes, you guys taking vitamins, washing your hands? Using hand sanitizer, all the teachers got it yesterday at our luncheon. I'm not necessarily saying it's the cure-all because some people found hand sanitizer might actually be hurting us, but in the case of protecting us from germs from a teacher, per se, who's sick, maybe we should use it. Good to make sure. Like how America has more allergies than like almost any Latin American country, or South American country, or African country. We protect ourselves too much. Because overprotective moms that over-sanitize their house, usually their kids are the ones with the worst allergies. Or that idea trickles down. You don't necessarily see it in single households. However, the study has been done that allergies are not really a thing in countries that are much dirtier than ours. Go figure. And it's not just they can't be picky, so then they end up dying from their allergies. That's not it. Because we need to protect ourselves, but we can't overprotect.
I have a lot more allergies in Brazil. That my house is like clean. It's like
Clean.
Nice.
Where are we going with this? Anyway, come back. Okay, hold on. Why is this section coming after 1.8? What do you see?
We did that stuff last time.
But what's weird about these fog and this golf? I don't know. about this composition f of g and this composition g of f. What happens when you simplify? Everything goes away, except for x. There's no square, there's no square root, there's no sign. An inverse is defined to be a function who undoes, breaks down another function all the way down to x. Breaks apart everything. And you guys have learned it before, probably switch to x and y and solve for y. But be careful, when you solve for y, I need you to make that y into f inverse. Because if you keep it y, you're technically saying something untrue. You're saying the old y is the new y, and they're very different usually. The old y is the new y, and they're very different usually. And one other trick that probably you guys have seen before I pass out those questions, we're done. Since the x and y, in essence, kind of do get switched in the inverse process, the undoing process, the domain or the x's of one will be the y's of the other. And the y's of the one, the range, will be the domain or the x's of the other. Now guys, we definitely have more work to do on this on Monday. We definitely have more work to do on this on Monday. But if I were you, it's kind of a hard section. I would peek into section 1.9 this weekend at least a little bit. 1.8 hopefully won't be hard. When I call out your name, come on down and grab your test. It's in no particular order whatsoever. If you want to know the percentage, it's out of 50, so double the top score. Ready, set, Brandon, Jesse, Nicole, Luca, set.
Uh-oh.
Carrie, Sean, Ella, Luke, Alyssa, Kristen, Amanda, Eric, Isa, Celeste, Hannah, Eris, Alani, Harvey. Now listen, this was a learning opportunity. Take it as such. Listen, eyes on me, off the score. Eyes on me, off the score. Okay, this is a learning opportunity. Some people naturally just gel with my teaching and they're like, sweet, I got it. Some of you though, it's going to be a little work in progress to get up to where you want to be. But let's let these corrections get our grade closer to where we want if it's not what you desire. Sound good? Okay, if you are trying to figure out how much corrections will help you, figure out how many away from 50 you are, divide that in 2 and add it to your score. You can get up to that as long as your corrections are perfect. Sound good? All right, work on this. Take it home, work on it with notes. Huh? Yeah, it's a grade for corrections.
Oh, Rick, what you get?
It's a grade for corrections and it's extra credit back. And if you have none, turn it in blank and say, but on the paper I give you the form. Does that make sense, Karen?
Not good?
Take how many you got on